Are we still bullish on that bridging in? Has it stayed on chain
Of
as well
course,
as you can tell?
of course we are. It's bullish. Yes, I mean it's money getting bridged into the chain, which is bullish, right? If it was getting bridged out, it would be bearish.
Bro, what's crazy is that someone just basically bridged in the amount of liquidity and cores that we have. Actually, it's more money than we have on bid on the V1 cores, just bridged in, and there's people literally just like nuking their whole bag out. And I'm like,
It's
dude,
wild, man.
literally stables came in that are worth more than the V1 pool bid side.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I think the wisdom here is like when Bitcoin was ripping early and everything else was staying flat, everyone said it was going to be a super short cycle, and then now everyone's saying it's going to be a super long cycle. So the wisdom's probably to expect what you expected 4 years ago, and for it to be probably right around the same time that you anticipated, which would have been like between October and like February, coming up. So
You remember typically every December we've got that tax loss harvesting stuff that occurs in traditional markets, and we typically see that reflected in crypto as well. So if we're fairly certain it's going to extend past December, I think we'll probably see it come roaring back and end sometime in Q1 if I was going to guess. I'm guessing for February, March. That's just a guess based on fact. If we saw it end before the end of the year at this point, we would have to be so steep.
People say, oh, there's no way Pulsechain can do a 50x or 100x. That would make it market cap irrelevant, because it doesn't take into effect that, for one important reason, that 90% of the coins are held by the founder, which has a history of not selling his own shit. Now, that's one thing. So, and TAs. TAs are just like a little guideline. You don't know if, hey, I might be a massive whale. I might decide to buy $10 million right now. So, in other words, stay bullish on the chain and don't get fumbled, because, like Panos and others are saying, we're still very early, because I remember from last cycle, and it happens very fast. Last cycle, I got into a coin, I put 27k in exactly, and in 3 months, I'd done a 27x. And that was a coin, small community. I think it was max 10,000 holders. So, yeah. And there was always at least $1 million in liquidity there. So, this just happened fast. Blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean it does, but timing's everything.
Oh, Pulsechain. Yeah, Pulsechain. I think I'm 3 weeks old on Pulsechain right now. On Pulsechain, very massive community. I've been respected. I won't lie. I haven't gotten any type of disrespect coming from the community so far. I'm literally so grateful to meet you guys. I'm going to be on Pulsechain, I think, forever right now, because the community is very massive and all that. So yeah, great opportunity though.
Xavier,
so
where did you hear about Pulsechain?
Can I keep that private? Okay, but it's just a simple story. A guy came to me on my DMs, right? A guy came to me on my DM. He was like, "Yo, I want you to do something for me." And I was like, "What am I doing?" He was like, "Okay, this is the post. Make sure that you stick to Richard Hart." Right? And I'm like, "Who's Richard Hart?" So in order before I have to make a post, right, I need to research what is it talking about and all that. So this guy was literally fantasized by Richard Hart, the Hex, the PLS, and all these other coins, right, that are part of Richard Hart. And I made my first post. Yo, that post blew up. I think it made around about like 200,000 views within a day, right? I saw the community on my comment section, and I was like, what the hell is happening here? I didn't know that such a community does exist. You understand? And then he told me, he was like, okay, do another post tomorrow. I did that post. I got 110 or 130 views. I'm gonna pin those posts up for you guys to see. I got 130 views within a day, within 24 hours, and I was like, whoa, there is a community that exists out there. And then from there, I was given a badge, and then I was called the president of the Pulsechain and all that crazy stuff. It was so crazy. And yeah, here I am right now. And I told myself, you know what? I just want to learn more about the community. I just want to learn more about the crypto. You guys have been treating me so good. So yeah, here I am today. I'm introducing Pulsechain. And I was so shocked that quite a community does exist, because I know Solana, I know the BNB community, I know all these sorts of communities, you understand? And when I heard of Pulsechain, I was like, what the hell is that? I don't wanna be affiliated with something that is not yet popular, but I've seen how the Pulsechain community works. And then the person that brought me to Pulsechain, he said, go open up an internet Mali wallet, right? And then that guy sent me around about like $100, and I thought that man was fake, or I'm being scammed. You understand? Up until I had to withdraw, and I was like, oh, this is legit. You understand? This is legit. And yeah, man, I'm grateful of the honesty. A person that came out of nowhere came to me, was like, come to the community. This is how the community operates. And so far, man, I'm so happy. Nobody has came to my DMs and told me anything negative. I don't like negativity. I wouldn't say anything negative to anyone that is literally trying out there. So I'm grateful for everything that you guys have done for me. So thanks.
During the sacrifice phase for for any of the like Pulsechain, Pulsex, we were able to sacrifice from other chains, correct? I'm just trying to remember. Like we could sacrifice from BNB, we could
Correct.
sacrifice
Yeah,
XRP.
yeah.
So
As long as it was stable coins or ETH.
okay, so was all of that consolidated at the end of the sacrifice? Like, do we know that, or are we all just focusing on the Ethereum sacrifice funds?
No, it wasn't all consolidated, and I see Famous because he's got a lot to say about this.
You basically generated a unique address that you send to, and we only know the address we send to, and we don't know the address that we all send to. So yeah, basically no one knows. So, but there are a lot of funds. You could just imagine, right? That's not BNB. So anything that's EVM that's traceable to the DCCA is a bit like it's not private. So like you're talking about like
Privacy pump.
Bitcoin, Monero, ADA, Zcash, and anything that's Memo, anything that's UTXO.
None of this stuff was even mentioned really during the lawsuit either, was it? Like most of it was all focused on Hex and
They had
the
no
Pulse Chain
idea what was really going
sacrifice.
on, bro. They were just retards
Yeah,
in a
it
courtroom.
doesn't. Yeah, it sounds like it.
So what's the ink argument? The ink argument is low
The ink
inflation and it just moves faster.
Well, the ink argument is that you have this token that can be manipulated so much. So, like, Hex has a bunch of baggage, right? You have a bunch of people that have staked it, and the only way to cut the inflation is if Richard stakes it, which already did. He already did that, right? So he already played the game with the numbers. He can go unstake, pay a bunch of people, half the yield comes back to him, and then he can like rerun these numbers again. But that's kind of, I don't know, it's just a lot of risk involved in doing that with the Hex game theory. But if you have ink, you can literally just go turn down the numbers. You don't have to do anything. You can pump the shit 10, 20x, turn down the farm again, pump the shit 10, 20x, turn down the farm again. And like you just have this ultimate expensive asset that, it's it's not a decentralized, right? It's not like every 4 years a Bitcoin happening, but it's when RH wants to turn the ticker down and pump the crap out of it. I just feel like that's the way. And then like pumping it obviously jacks up the farm APR. So eventually that's a game theory too. It's like you need the farm APRs to go up. So the incentive token has to go up. The incentive token is the livelihood of the chain. If that thing is doing good, you know that the chain is doing good. And I also think that people look at incentive and farm tokens like they're dump tokens forever, which it kind of has been in a sense. So Richard is always the contrarian, like the opposite. I don't think that his ink token will just be a dump forever coin. And he mentioned marketing everything. Pulsex Ink or Hex pumped higher than he didn't say anything about Ink. And he said Ink was his meme coin back in the day. As corny as that sounds, there's just too many little bullet points. And if you inject money straight into Ink, bro, it pumps both the cores and people chase it. And then they come off their cores to chase it. Then you go pump the cores, right? It's a lot of different pump theories that could happen with Ink. And in my opinion, I think that you're gonna one day be able to stake Ink and earn some of these pump tire meme supplies that he has, or be able to farm, or be able to do something involving ink with these farms is coming.
Yeah, good arguments.
I think the real ink pump's gonna be towards the end.
Does anyone have a counter argument to Ink and what Almighty said?
Famous does 100%, wherever he is.
Only thing Famous says is just that Pulsex is better, which I don't argue the tokenomics of Pulsex are better, but the way that you can utilize ink as far as like
But you
a
can,
chase
apparently, according to
tokenomics.
Famous, you could utilize Pulsex the same way.
Yeah, you could. Well, you could, because the thing was, it was in the testnet, it was Pulsex staking. So you were staking your Pulsex to earn this third party meme coin or whatever that could be in the farms. But I think that it would be better if it was ink, because ink doesn't have a utility. The utility for Pulsex is the buy and burn, right? So I just feel like if you lock up a bunch of ink, it's just bullish for the farm token price, like the health of the ecosystem, the health of the farms. People will lock the shit out of ink. Ink could send even higher, bullish.
Let's say that during the design of the ecosystem, they didn't exactly know how things were going to play out. And so ink was created as a potential pressure release valve, basically a token where they said, okay, in certain circumstances, we know that we can adjust this dial. We can move it in a certain way just to alter the pressure of the ecosystem in one direction or another. So maybe it's nothing more than a dial on the stove.
Yes, but if that's true, then you could just turn that dial up at any point and gas the ecosystem crazy.
But
Right.
why would you do that? What's the motivation for it?
To get green candle marketing. It's marketing beyond belief. If you go tell everyone, hey, my chain is the best chain. I'm marketed to the 400,000 people via mail. I went on a live stream and started talking about my chain, and then my chain went up 20x. People are gonna then come buy your chain, and then you're gonna create this new floor of whenever we sell or people that are on now, then all the people that he just kind of FOMO onboarded into that pump are then sponging up our sell pressure instead of him having to sponge up his, you know what I mean? Because he's gonna pump the chain, or maybe not, whatever.
Somebody will.
And yes, something's gonna happen, and then we have to be sponged by something. So the new thing is the FOMO. That's what he posted a while ago, where he's like, no one cares about your chart if no one can see it. That's why we need to yell a lot louder about Pulsechain, because then when people see it, they fade it. They see the candles afterwards when it pumps, and then they start thinking, damn, I could have bought it cheaper. I didn't. FOMO in now, it dumps down. Now you're part of the ecosystem. You're a community member.
Yeah.
Like this is how it goes. And then you re-ride the next pump up. You tell your friends and you tell other people because you want another 10x after it did a 10x. And then after that, another 10x. And the next people come in and another 10x.
I 100% agree. 100% agree with that.
I believe Richard will pump the shit out of his chain and then rinse it himself, and then pump the shit out of his chain and rinse it himself, and keep cycling funds in order to keep the healthy volume and chart structure and a big wee ahead of us, bro. We just don't even realize.
Yeah, I think that was the smartest 4 words you could possibly say, is that people just don't realize like what could happen and what's probably going to happen here.
If I had $1 billion, bro, to be able to market make a couple coins that I have 80-90% of the supply of, you know what the fuck I could do? And then I'm not Richard, bro. So
Yeah, it is. When you stand back and look at it, it is pretty incredible. It's beautiful architecture.
oh yeah. Yeah, and then they're all hexagon logos, and it's way better branding. And we don't have a foundation with weirdos that dance on stage for some reason. Honestly, a founder is bearish because they can do things that mess you up. Hence why he did all the Red Bull marketing and all the dancing around like a clown and the $12,000 outfit pictures and stuff like that. It's just like low key, a founder is bearish. Like they can mess your whole chain up if he doesn't exist. This chain can do numbers, but now he has to be the guy that pulls the levers. So he has to be the guy that markets a little bit as well, because no one trusts it, but they will trust it. And then I feel like eventually this guy disappears, bro, and then we just are able to utilize our healthy chain with things built on it.
What gets me really excited is that because he has been released completely by the SEC, he's actually beaten them. I think that we're finally at the point where we could have a privacy solution introduced, and this would be the only place in the entire crypto world that could operate completely independently, regardless of where you are in the world. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I explain that to normies all the time. Where I'm like, when they ask me like, what's or not even ask me what crypto is, but they start talking about it. I'm like, you just gotta understand what it is first. You understand what the power is and why it matters. Because if you don't think that it matters, then you're just in it for the quick 2-3x, come back, pay off my truck, or whatever the case is. Like, if you understand that the whole end goal in the game is you take this useless printed money and you go buy things that are hard and solid and have tokenomics behind. Like your dollar has zero tokenomics. You can't tell me your dollar does some buy and burns on itself, right? It's like this thing has value, bro, and you're gonna be able to buy things with it in real life. You'll never have to go back into dollars. When I explain that to one of my buddies, where I'm like, you don't have to take the profit anywhere near Coinbase. You can just take it into stable coins and farm the stable coins and pull the money out in gift cards and go buy groceries. And he was like, what? Like, the government never has to know your shit exists. And he just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And that onboarded him because he doesn't like the government. You know, he doesn't like being watched.
RH post here that I was looking at the other day, and I was like kind of analyzing it, and I found something pretty cool. So a lot of people think that like he's gonna like wait until ETH tops out or whatever to use the ETH reserves, and some people think he's not even gonna use the ETH reserves. But in this post, he literally just says there's something really cool. So he talks. So basically he calls Vitalik a money skelly because he's got money and he's like a skeleton, like he's really skinny. So he calls him a money skelly, and he's done it for like multiple posts when he's talked about the Ethereum Foundation. But basically he says, Pulsechain, I keep telling you that what you have is already far better than it needs to be. It only needs marketing, a not limp dick, weak, a little here, a little there marketing, legendary, massive, never done before marketing. I speak confidently because I know exactly what such awesome marketing would look like. I'd tag my money skelly and his squad to pleb beg for them to increase their marketing budgets since they published some data on how they want to use their ETH treasury, and I ain't seen no marketing in it, lol. But like, as I've already said, competition in a marketing channel reduces response. So like, why invite the competition? Yeah, I'd like Ethereum to go up, but I'd like Pulsechain to go up even more. Imagine this, ads appear. People that have never heard of amazing peer-to-peer, free and open source software do. They see the opportunity, users increase, haters get mad. How dare someone advertise free, open source, reliable software to them? They post their butthurt, amplifying reach, users increase. Even the haters already in crypto think this thing might really run. There's so much more potential. Many rotate into it. Green candles beget green candles. The government money printer starts. I like the vision. The slingshot of suppression being released violently upwards, more and more butthurt from the sideline, more and more interest, because the majority of the world isn't on crypto Twitter. They're in the real physical world, waiting for the opportunity, waiting for the education, and I have this real good feeling that they'll learn probably in under 2 months. We'll see. I'm curious to see how the real massive marketing performs. As always, it's not I, but you, the community that does all these nice things. I'm just glad a few of you decided to get it done. Onward and upward. And this was when he was first starting to talk about the marketing that he's going to do, right? And I've heard some people say it's not really Richard doing the marketing or whatever. But in my opinion, I think he just says that it's the community just to like, just for people to believe that it's the community and not him, you know what I mean? But he literally said a phrase in there, which was really cool. He said, I'd like Ethereum to go up, but I'd like Pulsechain to go up even more. And he's also said, like I've already said, competition in a marketing channel reduces response. So like, why invite the competition? So he wants Ethereum to market themselves, but he's not going to wait for them to market themselves, and he's not going to wait for Ethereum to go up all the way to like 10K or whatever. He's probably just going to he's already begun the marketing, right? So he's like kind of front run Ethereum on the marketing, and then he's probably just going to start, in my opinion, I think just from this post, I think he's going to start using the marketing because he wants Ethereum to go up, but he wants Pulsechain to go up even more. He cares more about Pulsechain.
Well, thank you for reading that.
On
That
top
was a
of that,
very good read. That was actually very good for us to hear, like in full. Then to segue on top of that, when do we know those marketing devices are hitting homes?
And
An
he tells
idea?
us it's probably going to a bunch of Coinbase addresses in wealthy areas specifically.
yeah, it's going to be areas with
It's,
disposable
it's
income.
definitely hitting Miami. I know that.
And it's definitely education on how to own your own money and self custody and what decentralized actually means and what IPFS is. It makes more sense to teach people that the government can shut your front end down, access your funds unless you're smart, and then be like IPFS, decentralization, self custody, don't end up like Sam Bankman, blah blah blah.
You know what I mean? This marketing, I thought that people would be front running or trying to front run Richard. So we just had like Richard was literally talking about marketing, and he said you're going to be really happy, or what did he say? I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but basically he said I have a real good feeling that they'll learn probably in under 2 months. It's like he literally gave you a time frame, and then he also just I guess it might be Richard, might not be, but somebody just like bridged in like $6 million, and nobody is really like we don't haven't had a pump, we're dumping.
Yeah, well, let's ask, because we've got some super mega magnificent wallet watchers here. Were any of y'all able to kind of see that 6 million that came in, or see if it's just sitting somewhere as a stable coin, or I mean, is there anybody that's
It's in
see that?
ETH and in stable coins right
Yeah.
now.
It's
To
all done
what?
through Tornado Cash, so you can't really
Mm.
connect the dots to the other side, but you can kind of get an idea of who's doing it.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does it look like it looks like it's just in a bunch of different wallets, different stable coins, or what does it look
It's
like?
it's in
ETH and
13
stable.
different wallets in
Yeah.
stable coins in 13 different wallets.
Yeah. So there's USDC, USDT, DAI, and
Is there no
Ethereum.
ETH as well, or
Yeah, there's Ethereum too. If you look at the transactions, they were all sent through Tornado Cash at 100 ETH at a time. And if you look at the bridge transactions as well, it was all split up between 60 to like 150K per bridge transaction, which is very indicative of something that he would do. He wouldn't just bridge it all in one go. Right? He even spoke about splitting up transactions when you're putting them through the bridge. He literally told he's literally told you guys how to bridge, and then somebody bridged the exact way that he told them to bridge with
In increments.
in
Yeah.
increments, yeah, with like $6 million. So yeah, we can just all speculate on who that is. Could be anyone, right? We could all be wrong, but yeah.
Any attention's good, even bad attention. Like, and you'll see it with all the Pepe guys. Like, if you remember when Pauly was shitting all over Richard and Pulsechain, like that kind of stuff. If Richard makes his chain successful, will have so much firepower at the top of cycles. Just referencing those kinds of things that it gives like Richard, and it gives Pulsechain just so much more power.
You guys are motivating me, man. I'm what you'd call a die-hard Hexican, for those of you that don't know me. I first started buying Hex from 14 to 46 cents back in July of 2021. I went all in. I put my 401k in there. I've been buying ever since. I never looked back. I've been busting my butt, working 6-day work weeks to try to take advantage of these prices. I'm all in on Richard Hart. I can't imagine ever going back to any other investment. I'm all about 5555 stakes and playing the long game. I'm really just here today because so many of you that are here have given me so much support, and especially RG, Papa B. There's so many of you that when I first started, I had no clue what I was doing, and you guys were there for me. You didn't charge me a dime. I really wish Johnny was in here right now. He might be listening incognito, but that man also I've learned so much from. And I wanted to help new people and return the favor. I want to build up confidence and knowledge. I want to create a warm and inviting space for new people to come in and ask questions, build up their confidence, and to help achieve their goals. I foresee myself being here for life, and I want to continue growing. I genuinely believe that we are the elite of finance, and I very much want to take Richard Hart assets to the top where I believe that they rightfully belong. There's so many in here right now that have made such a big impact on my life. I'm scrolling down here and I'm seeing a lot of you. I'm really appreciating that you're being here for me right now, but I just want to shine my best for you too, and I want to do my part. So many of you work so hard, and I think that's what makes our community so brilliant, is that we all have our own unique attributes to add and just make us shine as one strong force. And I think we're just getting started. I am kind of learning as I go. Luckily, RG said that he would help show me the ropes, and we want to mainly keep this space to Richard Hart principles and tokenomics. Maybe we can start doing like a class type format or a study group where we go into everything in more detail and help new onboards have a better understanding and confidence to get in the system and what they're buying and why they're buying it. I just don't really feel like there's a space right now out there that exists. And even though we have so many amazing streamers and spaces out there, nothing is really geared right now to onboarding. And I feel like we have these mailers coming out, these digital mailers, and I don't think we're quite ready for the amount of masses that we're, at least hopefully, that we're going to get. And I just want there to be a place where we have to refer the new onboards so we can welcome them and feel good and One thing that I've noticed with my own onboarding experiences is when I give too many people too many options, they get overwhelmed and then they end up not buying anything. So for me, I focus primarily on Hex. It's where my heart is. It's what I have all my money in. Rather than going wide and buying all of the Richard Hart tokens, I went deep and I have all of my money staked out. I plan to only take 25% profits out this cycle at the most, and everything else I just keep compounding into my ladder because I believe, like I said, that we're just getting started and I want to be here 15 years from now and decades from now because I personally don't think that anything else is going to outperform Richard Hart tokens. I also don't think it matters which tokens you own because I think they're going to take their turns of, being the better performers. And because of Hart's Law, I think that as long as you're in one of them, you're kind of in them all. But I just really like the tokenomics, the game tokenomics of Hex itself, and so that's where I'm at, and that's usually what I focus on my onboards. With all my onboards, they all have a 15-year stake, with the exception of one, because I don't want to create traders or gamblers. I want people in this with me in the long game. I feel like this is like our own business that we're building together. And I have my family, my friends, my colleagues, pretty much everybody that I know in this. So that's why I don't talk about other tokens. I obviously believe in a lot of people in the community, and I think that there's a lot of great technology out there. But for me, my focus, my game plan, and my business is Hex, and I'm not changing. I'm not veering away from that. That's my plan. And I've thought about it for a long time, and that's just where my heart is.
I didn't need anything else other than Hex to go all in on what he had done and what he was doing. It was true DeFi. Like, nobody had seen true DeFi at the time Hex was coming. When he was talking, it was like, well, he's talking about true DeFi. He's talking about a better Bitcoin. He's talking about really ramping up crypto. So if he really does this, then I'm all in. And just getting to know Richard, who he is, what he was trying to do at the time, I did. I trusted in what he was doing, and I believed in what he was doing, and believed that he was going to build what he said he was. And damn it, the guy did. He built Hex, and that's what he said he was going to do. And everything else is icing on top of the cake, I guess, because I'm here and all in because of Hex, and that's all it took. Now, the other things that you built are awesome. They're going to, make the crypto space a better place.
But let's get into like the chase here of like, why am I here and what am I doing for the community and everything. Got a very colorful background, but I think the part that's relevant to all of you here is like the part of my background where the story starts is when I was in TradFi. I was working for Fidelity, both at a national center for them, but then also in one of their branch offices down here in Florida. I worked there. But where my crypto story really starts is in 2017, which was probably when people heard of Bitcoin for the very first time, because that was a phenomenal bull run that we were having in 2017. And we got so many phone calls from the customers calling up and saying, hey, you guys do Bitcoin over there at Fidelity? Can you tell me about it? And of course, we didn't know anything about it because it was so new even back then. And so few people had anything to do with it. I mean, Coinbase was a new thing at the time. And I was so sick of these phone calls. I started out as a hater, as a skeptic. I was so sick of these phone calls. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to research this subject of crypto inside out. I'm going to thoroughly understand it because I want to be able to steel man my opponent's argument, not straw man it, so that I can explain to all these callers how stupid they all are for investing in this because of what an incredible scam it is. And I want to be able to speak with authority when I say that to them. However, the more I researched Bitcoin and crypto in general, the more I became convinced of the opposite. The more I became convinced that this is a better financial system than what we currently have. This is a better market of investments than what I was dealing with at the time in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, the traditional investments and everything. And since 2017, I had gradually transitioned to just be completely crypto. I don't own any stocks or bonds or anything like that anymore, even though like that was my thing. I was working in that industry. I don't own any of that crap anymore. It's all crypto for me here. because what I'd seen, particularly in the Hex and Pulse chain community, was just so much bearishness and so much infighting, or so much drama, in the sense of like everybody had been really traumatized by this bear market, understandably so, and a lot of people had just gotten nihilistic to the point where they didn't think a bull run was ever coming. But what I know from TradFi and just how capital flows in its cycles and everything, my thesis that I wanted to share with everybody, and I've started sharing with it ever since the first Pulse conference, my thesis is that this bull cycle that we're waiting for to really get going, it never even got started here yet. Like, we're still off of the 2021 cycle. That really hasn't finished here. Like, that bear market that began in 2022, that really hasn't finished yet. And the bull part of this cycle has never even gotten started. Because I tell you, I think I'm probably like the most, I don't want to take, say, a bold claim I hear saying I'm the most bullish of everybody here, but like, I am the person that can give you the most reason to be bullish. Like, I fight the bears all day on X, and I do it with so much joy in my heart, because I know that the facts are on my side. Like, if you know what I know, you will never be bearish again, ever, because that's how deep I understand these capital cycles and these debt cycles that actually cause the bull runs that we've seen. And it's what's going to cause this one here. It's just taking a longer time to cycle through, because the debt that's being cycled through is a larger amount of debt. Now, my interest in Hex, because you see Hex and Pulse Chain, the Richard Hart assets, I mean, I guess if you combine all of the coins and all the positions I have in all of the coins together, I guess you could say RH is my largest position. But, you know, really, the Hex and Pulse Chain, they're not my biggest bag, and they're not my only bags, but they are bags that I am very passionate about. And my interest in them stems from a theory of mine that I call the penny coin theory. And to sum that up real quick here, it just means that the price of the coin is less than $1. So for every dollar I put in a purchase order, I get more than one of the coins back. So I put in $1, I get more than one coin. I call that an asymmetric purchase. The more asymmetric purchases I can make, and the more asymmetric those purchases can be, the more set up I am for an amazing return when the asymmetric returns come in, as they will once the debt cycle finally cycles out. What attracts me to the RH ecosystem currently right now, it is those prices. Those prices are down. I see the value in the coins, and the price is not matching it. So for me, it's not about some cult, like a lot of people that are so bearish right now thinking, oh, RH, Richard Hart's never going to stream again. I'm here because I see an obvious opportunity that rarely exists. You rarely find opportunities like this. This is the last ecosystem out there that legitimately has a chance at becoming one of the heavyweights. But it's also one of the few left where we can still say we're early, and it's actually true, because there's so much gatekeeping right now. There's so much that has been against us for so long, but all of these things are starting to, all of these barriers that they put up on us, like the SEC was one of them, they're all starting to fall one by one. Uniswap was another. They caved in too. So there is so much that is still left to happen. We really are early when it comes to the RH ecosystem. And as far as the end game goes, I mean, I could sit here and talk about the end game of crypto for a very long time, and, you know, it'd be talking like a whole bunch of futurism and everything. But I say, like, my exit plan is I have price targets set where I know I'm going to sell when it hits these price targets. And then just knowing what I know about the debt cycle and where that's headed. I mean, if you knew what I knew, you'd be looking at expatriating from the United States by 2030, but that's a whole different discussion. So what I can answer for everybody out there, the people that like the new onboards and everything, if you are lacking conviction in your position, if you're thinking, oh, is it possible that this bull run is all over? Or if you're getting that doubt and everything, talk to me, because if you know what I know, you're never going to have those bearish thoughts ever again. There's a reason why so many bears have chickened out of getting on live streams with me.
In crypto since 2016, November 4th, 2016, I bought my first 3 Bitcoin at on Coinbase at $634. So that's where I started, and progressed on to ultimately the Richard Hart ecosystem. I used to follow Richard back in the Top Hat days when he was developing the fluid dynamic token, if anybody remembers that. And so that progressed on to Bitcoin Hex, and then ultimately Hex, and now the Pulsechain ecosystem. Strong proponent of Richard Hart. I stuck around through the miserable whining and crying during the bear market with hopefully positive messages for people just to persevere. I greatest known as through Johnny Chaos is and anybody who heard me speak at the Hex conferences, the early ones, is started with something called the Loose Change Project, where basically I was an automotive detailer taking a break from culinary, and over a period of time collected loose change from cars that were traded in, invested in the Richard Hart ecosystem, and I did quite well. Let me just say that, and still doing quite well. Sacrificer for both Pulsechain and a throat choking sacrifice for Pulsex, which I'm still very pleased with, despite the ups and downs. I have a crypto philosophy that's same as any type of investment philosophy, which is if you can't hold it for at least 5 years, you shouldn't hold it for 5 minutes. I like to be a encouragement in the hex space, having matured over these 5+ years. Really look forward to the developments, and the onboarding aspects. In fact, 3:30 this afternoon, I just onboarded a new person to Hex. So, it's been a very pleasant experience.
Saw the price shoot up and said, man, this crypto thing's going somewhere. And as I did my research and started to see how valuable and how important it was going to be to the world and finance, I got into crypto and realized that how unvaluable and how unimportant all the people that were in it were to the world as a whole. It was just full of grifters, scammers, and punks, and you name it. It was a ugly, ugly space in a very, very promising technology that was being delivered to the world at the time. So I got discouraged, but I too ran into that top hat guy, Richard Hart, and saw what he was doing. I saw the fluid dynamic token myself, and thought, wow, that's way over my head, way over my pay grade. Wasn't anything I was interested in. So I just kind of left it alone. Didn't think much of it until he switched gears and started talking about Bitcoin Hex. So if you don't know, it was called Bitcoin Hex before it was just Hex. And Richard started talking about what he was going to do. And at the time, staking wasn't a real thing. DeFi wasn't a real thing. Decentralized exchanges definitely weren't a real thing. But Richard said he was going to make an immutable code, peer-to-peer transfer token that had a staking feature on it. And its inflation was based on that staking feature. And the best I could figure is it was kind of like proof of stake versus proof of work, wrapped in code that was immutable, that could never be changed. And that's what I liked. I liked the fact that it was going to be immutable code. I liked the fact that I was going to be able to self-custody this coin. For those of you who don't know or haven't been around for a while, there were days where there were tokens that came out, you could only use their wallets or their weird exchanges, or you'd get into an ICO and you wouldn't see your tokens for a long time, and then they come and you'd have to dig them out of this certain wallet and you couldn't transfer them. There was all kinds of weird stuff that was going on. But everybody wanted to get in, wanted to get early, and I was doing the same thing. I was chasing all these ICOs, trying to get involved, trying to be, I wanted to get some of that moon money that was going on back then. But there was just too much scams. And Richard was talking about, hey, you're going to be able to put this in a wallet, in a non-custodial wallet, and you own the tokens. Period. End of story. And then there will be a front end that you can go and stake these tokens, and it's you and the code. And so that's what really got me excited, was that, like, this dude's really going to do DeFi and let you have custody of your own token. And something about Richard that I just had some trust and faith in the guy because of how he spoke and what he was doing. I was seeing so many scammers, and I grew up in the streets of LA, in the wood. And so I watched a lot of grifters in my life. I watched a lot of players, a lot of people, faking a funk on a funky dunk and all that. I seen it, and this guy just didn't come across that way to me. And when he did what he said he was going to do and built this thing and made a true DeFi token that you have self-custody of, that you control the staking feature, pull it early, leave it in the whole time, whatever. And the metrics of the inflation that were being paid out to the stakers was so good. And I only knew that because I had friends here that were mathematicians, and people like Papa and those guys all figured it out early and what it really meant. I was all in. I thought this thing is really the bee's knees of DeFi. And bam, he did it. The code was looked at by many people, scrutinized up and down by what I consider to be one of the the smartest crypto community ever. And Papa B could probably attest to this because in the early days in the hex.com original Telegram room, like the smartest of the smart came out of that room. I mean, they were just, as far as DeFi crypto goes, period, these people were just on it. And of course we had our futters and we had our, trolls and all that kind of crap that went on in there. But you just saw emerging from those early days, really smart people. And they broke down the code and they broke down all of the security audits that were looked at and the other audits that were looked at it. And everybody said, hey man, this thing is good. It's solid. The code is solid. There is no backdoors. There's no weird funky stuff here. And it launched and it ran. And the launch of it with the adoption amplifier, which was, the first year before it launched, was a very unique kind of tool. There was a bucket of Hex every day that people put their ETH into that bucket, and based on how much ETH in, that bucket was filled up the same volume every day. But depending upon how much ETH in was how much Hex was distributed to everybody every day, and that went on for a year. And then Hex launched, and it went flawless. The staking feature was working. At that time, Uniswap launched a decentralized exchange that, out of nowhere, as we're launching, Uniswap launches. And so now we could literally take this immutable. It was the coolest thing to do in the beginning. You had the ability to literally take this coin out of your wallet, attach it to a decentralized exchange, in and out, bang, boom, done. And it was like, wait, does that really exist? Does this really exist right now? It was the coolest thing. I mean, right now we take it for granted. That's what we do all day long when there's a whole bunch of dexes out there. But this was the first time it happened. And for code to be working, a guy like Richard to be putting it together at the time that he put it together, and to have it functioning the way it was with Uniswap just coming out, it just took off. And of course, it didn't go without the FUD and without the trolls. It was very, very difficult, because I think that the maxi Bitcoiners, the OGs in crypto, all of the XRPers and Cardanos and all the people and all, they saw what Richard did and they were like, we can't let this guy front run us, because they've invested so much into their other bullshit that they had. Richard made it easy, and he put something out that was so simple and so easy and that everybody's going to want to use, that they came at us hard. They tried to do everything they could to shut it down. And guess what? Even with that, even with, coin ranking sites putting us on 200 page when we were really third in the ranks, and I mean, moving up the ladder, everything, all the shit that they handed to us, all the bad news articles about Richard, every single influencer out there telling us he was a liar, cheating, a thief, and he was going to rip us all off and all this stuff, calling all of us influencers, cult members, and you name it. It all came in. We did a 10,000x during all of that. Why? Because the damn thing worked. Because the damn thing was true DeFi. Because the damn thing came out when no one else was going to do DeFi. And Richard did it. And it mooned. And it did well. And it ran that bull market. And it was the best, highest appreciating asset at the time. And now, during this bear market, when people like Tam came in and saw, all the excitement and the aftermath of the excitement, and said, I'm in at 14. And she saw it run up and all the way to 46 cents. But she believed in everything that we were doing. And she continued to do what you're supposed to do, which is dollar cost yourself in as the price goes down and get as much of it as you can. Because if you understand and know crypto, this goes in cycles. And that this bear market had absolutely nothing to do with Richard Hart, what he built, or Hex. Period. End of story. We all know that. The reason that it's down is because the whole market's down, and because it cycles like this every single time. Well, now we're ready on a bull run. I believe that what our friend said earlier in this space was absolutely 100% true. That these things are grossly undervalued. There is no way that they should be valued where they're at right now. Not in this run, not where it's at, not what he has created. And I think that there's a big run coming. I think that this system, with everything that's come into play, with the way it's been set up, is ready for a huge, huge run. So my question to everybody out there is, what are you doing to set yourself up for this bull run? What is it that you want out of it? Because those of you who've been around, or those of you, this is your second cycle or your first cycle or whatever, that's the plan. That's what you have to do. Now, we're not going to talk about individual strategies and stuff because everybody has something different that they have to do with their crypto. Everybody, their finances, how they sit in this market, their age, their valuations of their portfolios, all that stuff. Everybody's got to do that stuff on their own. But what we will tell you here is that it is time to prepare. Like, it is here right now in your face. Prepare for the bull market. And then understand that there is also going to be a bear market that follows this. So the people that you're bringing in, your new onboards, those of you who are new right now sitting in this room that are coming in, realize that you are in at the bottom of a bear market that is getting ready to start moving up. And that's what you've got in front of you. And that's the type of action that you need to decide what you're going to take at the bottom of this bear market as it starts to move into the bull market.